This list has multiple books you're going to be able to find in dollar bins, and people should really start hunting for this stuff right now.
Half of this trending list you can go find in cheap bins. I'm talking dollar bins, half off bins. Get to hunting.
When this book came out, people hated it.
Dude, I think people are going to be pissed. Congratulations to David O'Connor. You won this TMNT 110. If you want to join all of our giveaways going forward, we do them weekly. Join our SMS group, comictom.com. That's the only way you can keep up on all of our drops and be part of all of our giveaways. Shout out to Jerry Duggan, who hooked us up with this ash can on his hit independent comic, Falling in Love on a Path to Hell #1. Signed and sorted, graded at a 9.6. We'll give this away next week. The most trending comic books in the world, number 10 on the list, is Dexter #1 from 2013. This was one of the very first books I ever picked up from your shop.
This was a great book, and I remember this being one of the first books that wasn't superhero-based that almost every single person was asking about.
This is hitting $20 average sales, $77 for a recent CGC 9.8. It's the first time we have Dexter in a standard size comic book, which is actually a show from Showtime based off a book. And we not only have Dexter Original Sin as of the day of this filming, debuting today on Friday the 13th, which is a prequel series that features all the same characters we know and love from the Showtime show, but with different actors, as well as Sarah Michelle Gellar. We have a continuation of the Dexter narrative, like current Dexter narrative, continuing next year, mid-year. Both series will contain Michael C. Hall in it. One as the voice of Dexter, and the latter the continuation of Dexter's story. As you can see, I'm a big fan of Dexter. Went through the entire series and the new series, well, season, this last couple months, and I am so hyped for all of what's to come.
A 171% increase in copies sold this week, and I know a lot of the people who read this comic book are fans of the television series, but not necessarily comic people. So if you like serial killers and things that are a little bit different, you should really check out friend of the show, Patrick Horvath's Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, which is about a serial killer who happens to be friend little bear.
Number 9 on the list is Seven Soldiers Frankenstein, issue number 3 from 2006, seeing a $12 average high sale and $89 for a CGC 9.6 from October, because we haven't seen a 9.8 sell in over a year. This is the first appearance of Lady Frankenstein. Creature Commandos dropped the first 2 episodes, a new episode this week, and the second episode featured essentially an origin story of the character. We're getting to know her before anyone else.
This list has multiple books you're going to be able to find in dollar bins, and people should really start hunting for this stuff right now.
There's only 5 copies of this on the census. What does that mean?
At face value, this means nobody was speccing on this book. We did a little bit of research and found out there was actually a 30,000 print run for this book. For 2006, that's actually substantial. There's a lot of DC people that were buying things. So if there's only 5 9/8 on the census, there are a lot of raw copies out there. And for the most part, since nobody was really thinking about Seven Soldiers Frankenstein, it's probably just sitting places where people can find it. It's a good read. It's a fun read. I like this character and Lady Frankenstein having her origin story and explaining a little bit more about the love-hate relationship. Frankenstein loves her, she hates him, that type of thing. I mean, it's really a great and fun dynamic that they use to great success in this show. I also want to point out that this book is the first mention of Shade, the superhuman advanced defense executive. Well, New 52, there was a series called Frankenstein Agent of Shade, and I wouldn't be surprised if we started seeing more Creature Commandos related things happening in that series as well. Get to hunting.
Which brings us to number 8 on the list with Invincible number 19. This is the first appearance of Battle Beast, and we just found out over the last couple of days that Ryan Ottley and Robert Kirkman, creator of Walking Dead and Invincible, have teamed up again to start a new series, an ongoing series featuring Battle Beast in the lead. $120 high average sales, $260 for a CGC 9.8, an increase of copies sold of 300%. All we have is cover A to look at, but there is a list having been solicited by Skybound of various variants, and there's a bunch of them. There's incentive ratio variants. John Boy Myers is being solicited to have a foil 1 in 100. They're even doing like 1 in 1,000s and 1 in 2,000s that features a Ryan Ottley original sketch. I think that's a really cool thing that publishers are starting to do, or at least doing more often than they have in the past, getting some original art out there, not just an incentive cover that's an alt cheapest variant of something that you could have got at a lower ratio incentive. But one thing that is very intriguing is the cover C being listed as a blind bag that features various artists.
I don't think it's a coincidence that this is coming out in April 2025 to coincide with the end of Invincible season number 3. And I, for one, am very excited about these blind bags because we had the Skybound Image 25th anniversary blind bags many, many years ago, and Tom and I did a great video opening those up on camera. This is the same type of excitement because I know they've solicited 8, 9, 10 different variants with the Art Adams, with the John Boy Myers, but you know they could do something. Here's a trade dress, here's no trade dress, here's a foil, here's a special, here's a black and white. They can do so many variants and keep print runs really, really low. The demand is going to be high for this very sought after character.
It'll probably be cover price, if not close to it, and it'll give you an opportunity to get something more rare than a standard cover C by a major artist. Looking now at the list at number 7. Ooh, we got Thundercats Apex number 1. Mark Spears, the 1 in 10 variant. We told them about this book. And if you listened, you're probably feeling pretty good right now because it's hitting $15 average sales. On a Thundercats book that's a 1 in 10 variant, most incentives right now are sub $10. It's performing well. And we happen to know why.
All right, there's been a lot of Mark Spears love the last few weeks on this list, and this is no shocker at all. A 500% increase in copies sold this week, and this seems like it was kind of a perfect storm because this book had an FOC variant, a final order cutoff variant that was a Mark Spears with the trade dress on it, and a lot of shops missed it. A lot of people missed it. People did not ask for it. And the one on the list right now, this is the 1 in 10 variant. So you can imagine if people weren't upping their orders to buy the FOCs, they probably weren't upping their orders to get the 1 in 10s. The demand is high for this very, very hot artist right now. We actually had word from Nick over at Dynamite, and he said they believe very strongly if the FOC from this book had happened this week, they would have sold 4 times as many copies. That's going to give you a little idea of how underordered this book was.
I'd say the Mark Spears comic book that really spiked up Mark Spears as an artist this year really started towards the beginning of November. And then also, this book hit FOC at the beginning of November. And it was just interesting timing enough to cause this book to go way under the radar and become a sleeper incentive foil. So keep an eye out on this book. I also told the community about Thundercats because they're absolutely killing it over at Dynamite. And there is a backer kit, which is essentially like Kickstarter for the original Marvel run. An entire Omni, they have graphic novels, and they have a ton of different exclusives that you can pledge and get. And I put $100 down on the Omni because I want to own all the Thundercats. I've never actually read it. And to my surprise, when I backed it, I got 2 free Mark Spears variants.
These 2 Mark Spears variants are incredible. Lion-O and Mumra, again, 2 fantastic Thundercats characters. And if you know Dynamite variants, you know that these type of Virgin variants have a lot of value and are generally sold with a really big MSRP. It is absolute added value to your backer kit.
I feel like I got a pretty monster discount on my Omni purchase, so I'm feeling pretty good, and you can still join the Kickstarter or backer kit. I'll put the link in the description. This is not a plug. I get nothing for doing this. I'm just a fan of Dynamite and hope to be a new fan of Thundercats. Number 6 on the list is West Coast Avengers number 7. Oh, the video game market has infiltrated the comic collecting and spec game royally this week.
First appearance of fan favorite Jeff the Land Shark, $35 average sales and $350 for CDC 9.8 just this week. I mean, he's the pet of Gwenpool, but come on, people love Jeff. He's nice, he's cute, he's wonderful, and heavily featured in the brand new Marvel Rivals video game. And I think that's why we're seeing a 567% increase in copies sold on his first appearance.
I actually got a chance to play this game yesterday on a Steam Deck. More on that in a second. What do you think about them displaying the first appearance information of the playable characters actually on the character selection screen?
I love it. It's like built-in IMDb. I don't have to do a whole lot of digging and figure out where this character's from, but I also think it really helps people who are video game players take the next step into reading a comic book.
The game is essentially Overwatch. Millions of people are going to be playing these Marvel characters that they've never actually seen before. We say that he's a fan favorite for the comic readers, for fans of Gwenpool, but I think that we may see an entirely new generation of people enjoy this character that would then cause Marvel to pivot and utilize these characters in not just comic books, but possibly in animation and on the big screen.
If you want to see more of Jeff's adventures and maybe him hanging out with, I don't know, Elsa Bloodstone or Kate Bishop, you should really check out the digital adventures, It's Jeff. Those were released in 2021, and there are even more fun stories of him available online.
Don't underestimate Jeff, because that high sale that you reported on isn't just the high sale of the year, it's the high sale of all time. So clearly speculators are specking. Also, speaking of Steam Decks, let's give one away.
Ooh, that is a Valve OLED limited edition Steam Deck. And I'm gonna give it away this Saturday, December 21st. Stream starts at 10 a.m. But I'm not gonna open this to show you how dope it is, because I actually got one myself.
Look at this slick carrying case they gave it to us in. White on white. This is the only way to get it in white, is to get the limited edition release of the OLED model. It's 1 terabyte worth of storage, and what it really is a way to play your on-computer video games wherever you want to go. It's got a really nice OLED screen. These were sold out in like 2 or 3 weeks in the US. Right now you can only get it on resale, going for upwards of $1,000. So it's really exciting that we were able to secure one to give you guys as a giveaway.
You heard that right. This is worth over $1,000, and I want you to win it December 21st. The stream starts at 10 a.m. only on Whatnot. Whatnot is a live selling platform where you can literally buy, sell, and auction anything. And we do enjoy video games, but we also sell and give away a ton of comics. Ryan, show them the room we're in. This is the best place you can get exclusive and vintage comics from us. We give away upwards of 20 to 30 comic books every single stream. Use the link in my description to enjoy a $15 credit you can use on your first purchase, not just in our stream, any category on the app. You can get Pokemon cards, you can get vintage toys, records, vintage clothing, anything. And we'll see you Saturday, only on Whatnot.
Finally, we have a book that's older than me on this list. Number 5 this week, Star Wars number 7. And this is a fun one because this is the first time we actually have Star Wars stories that are in canon that are not related to the actual movies, which is great. They started going off and telling more stories. $12 average sales, $200 for CGC 9.8. It's the first appearance of Crimson Jack.
Courtesy of Jude Law in the Skeleton Crew, there's speculation that this pirate may be this character. And I like how you mentioned that. 1 through 6 of Star Wars focused in on retelling the story of A New Hope. But then with issue 7, Marvel Comics started creating canon here. And this was like the first anti-hero villain to be incorporated to go up against Han Solo and Chewbacca.
A 667% increase in copies sold this week because Jude Law's character's name is revealed to be Crimson Jack, although we're not 100% certain that that is who he is ultimately going to be. More shall be revealed in the future. We're only 2 episodes in, and I love the fact that we have these younger characters that very clearly are species from earlier movies. We actually have someone who looks a lot like Max Rebo from the band in Return of Jedi. So there's a younger character that looks like he's related to him. We see more of this universe building with these younger characters, which again can be brought on farther and farther into the future. If you disliked Acolyte, ignore that. I actually really thought this was fun, and I am excited to see where it's going to go.
If you want to support the show directly, we hook our members up with comics every single month. It's a mystery box called the Mystery Mail Call. We've been doing it for 7 years plus now. However, there is some guarantees in there, so you know what you're getting. ComicTom.com, the box is $34.99 if you sign up monthly. It's a little bit more expensive if you just want to try us out. But guaranteed 1 per box is a John Jang Moon Knight Fista Khonshu NYCC exclusive. And then also 1 per box is a John Boy Myers variant. We got our hands on a bunch of them. You're guaranteed 1 of them in your box, along with 2 to 3 other back issues, a print, and of course, our many thanks for supporting the videos that we make the community. Number 4 on the list is It's Jeff, number 1, the first solo series of Jeff the Land Shark. And this isn't the only book in addition to his first appearance at Spiking because of a video game.
This is a newer book, came out just last year, so you might find it even in the recent back issue bins at your local shop. $6 average sales, $91 for a CGC 9.8, 450% increase in copies sold this week. And hey, you know those digital comics I mentioned just earlier? If you want them in print, this is where you get them.
That's right. This is the compilation of those digital comic books. And I also want to throw out there that Jeff doesn't have a whole lot of keys associated with him. But if you're looking for some other comic books to pick up because you love Jeff in the video game and you want to get a physical collectible, you can get Superior Spider-Man #7, which is his first cover appearance. Then, of course, you have Deadpool #10, where Jeff bonds with the symbiote for the first time. And this is part of the King in Black crossover event. So there's a lot of like Venomized characters that happen. Jeff being one of them. But also, we had a Peach Momoko cover that came out this very week.
Scarlet Witch #7 featuring Scarlet Witch herself cradling Jeff. It's a beautiful Peach Momoko. It's got that cute, almost chibi style moment to it. I really think it's going to be highly sought after by Jeff fans and Peach fans alike.
Half of this trending list you can go find in cheap bins. I'm talking dollar bins, half off bins. Get to hunting.
And this next book is no exception. You will probably find it out there on the hunt. #3, Star Wars Hyperspace Stories #6. $10 average sales. We can't even report a high because there's only 2 slabs at a CGC 9.8, and neither of them have been sold. This was a Dark Horse book, and so many people were buying the Marvel because the Marvel Star Wars was everything that was in canon. This Dark Horse book went under the radar and was plagued with delays. I know that we had people that ordered 6, 7, 8 and waited 3, 4 months for them to come out. A lot of people had stopped subscribing by this point in time because they just didn't ever think it was going to actually get to all 12 issues.
An increase of copies sold of 725% after news broke this week that Jeremy Allen White, you know him from Shameless, you know him from The Bear, fantastic actor, has been doing it for a really long time, has been getting a ton of cred after the success of The Bear, was announced to be the voice actor for the upcoming Mandalorian Grogu movie to portray Rada the Hutt, the son of Jabba the Hutt.
Well, Rada the Hutt showed up before in the Clone Wars animated movie. That was before the Clone Wars television show. And in the movie, Rada the Hutt was a baby. Well, if you start looking at timeline, this movie, The Mandalorian with the Grogu, the new movie, Rada the Hutt in Hutt years is still going to be a baby. So there is a good chance that we could see a little bit more of the Grogu-style love for these younger characters.
#2 on the list is War of the Realms, New Agents of Atlas, issue #1, seeing $20 average sales, $68 for a CGC 9.8. I'll remind you that back in 2021, the spec was high, but it was also high in 2020 and 2019, but at its peak, broke $355 for a CGC 9.8. A mighty come down on a book that had multiple reasons to spec on it for, whether it be because of Luna Snow or all the different things that we were reporting on over the years of Marvel's plan to utilize this team that never came to fruition.
This comic book seemed like a no-brainer. After the Shang-Chi movie and knowing that there was so many rumors about Amadeus Cho, this having Arrow, who got a miniseries, Silk, who got a miniseries, Swordmaster, who got a miniseries, and Luna Snow, this was a team that was a no-brainer. A year and a half ago, we had rumors that a member of the K-pop group Blackpink was actually supposed to be cast to play Luna Snow in an upcoming MCU project, and we've heard nothing about that. So why are we seeing a 686% increase in copies sold this week? Oh, Luna Snow is a playable character in Marvel Rivals.
That's right. Another example of a character spiking up, not for any traditional comic book reasons, just because people are playing the character in-game. And seeing $20 averages on this book kind of hurts, but it feels pretty good.
I still think that this is a team that they're going to do something with. We've had Shang-Chi 2 in development hell forever. Amadeus Cho is supposed to be showing up and doing something in the MCU eventually. Maybe we'll see him Young Avengers, who knows? But really, these are characters that have just been underutilized for the past 5 or 6 years, and I think something's happening. This is a great time to buy this book.
This book has 6 to 7 key appearances in it, so it makes sense to see it trading at what it is, especially when all it takes apparently is a character to show up in a video game to move the needle as drastically as multiple needles were moved this week on key collectible comic books. Speaking of key comics, download Key Collector Comics. There are so many characters in this book, and you can look up each individual one and get a full list of notable comics for you to consider very simply in the matter of clicking a couple buttons. You don't even have to do the research. Key Collector does it for you. Utilize code TOM101 to unlock a free 2-week subscription of the app. Support the show and better your comic grind. And the #1 Hottest book this week? Dude, I think people are going to be pissed.
This could be the most polarizing #1. When this book came out, people hated it.
Captain America Steve Rogers #1. We're talking evil Cap. We're talking Captain America literally hailing Hydra on the cover of the second print. $8 average sales and $85 for a CGC 9.8. Dare I say, a comic that most Marvel fans just want to forget.
When I first opened my store, Captain America was one of the titles that sold a lot. And when Nick Spencer was announced to be writing the new Captain America run, people were very, very excited. And then the first issue came out, and oh my God, he's an agent of Hydra. And then the second print came out, and the cover actually says, "Hail Hydra" on it. And it was so split. Some people thought this was the coolest idea ever, and some people were like, there is no way. And I know that we were hearing crazy stories about Nick Spencer just getting bugged all over Twitter. Is he a clone? What's happening? What's this story? Why is this thing? I mean, it was really just incredible how polarizing it was and how many people really just had strong feelings about this one way or another.
An increase of copies sold of 1,033%. This book is spiking because Chris Evans may come back as Captain America. And since Robert Downey's coming back as a villain, Victor Von Doom, the idea is that maybe Captain America's coming back as an evil version of Steve Rogers. Sounds like it's plausible. It would be pretty cool to see both of these beloved actors on the screen fighting our current Avengers because they are evil. However, don't you think that it would diminish the character from the past? I mean, the fact that Robert Downey is coming back as Victor Von Doom makes that okay. I think that's why it was largely accepted by the community. But Chris Evans coming back as Captain America, but an evil version? I just don't see it happening.
Tony being alive again would absolutely take away from his legacy, but I think people need to remember that Captain America already had his Hail Hydra moment in the elevator, right? And this book spiked at that point in time. I just don't think this is something that has any legs spec-wise. Yeah, it's a fun book, but I wouldn't get behind it at all thinking that he's going to be coming back as an evil person.
Boss Logic made this artwork, you know, Steve Rogers as this evil version. I mean, it does look pretty cool, but I think it's so out there that it just can't happen. But let me know if you agree. Let me know in the comment section below. And of course, as always,
Geek responsibly.
enough said.